So something that Dr. Stevens doesn't have us do in this textbook is to find the standard deviation of a frequency distribution. And it's not hard to do. He just doesn't take the time to have us do it. And so if you remember that standard deviation formula, it's you take each value and subtract the mean from it, and then you square those values, and then you add them all up, and then you divide by n-1, right? And then take the square root for the standard deviation. So when you're in a frequency distribution, our midpoints, well, if this is from Think Do Chapter 3, and what is it? We're estimating a test. I don't know what are these? These are test scores, okay? And there's a distribution, and we know, because we don't know the exact value, we're using the midpoint as an estimate. Okay, and he walks us through the mean calculation here, and that they did test you on, and it's still going to tag us throughout the course. But what do you do if you want to do the standard deviation? Well, what we need to do is we took the mean. What was the mean? I'm going to be lazy and grab it from here, 73.1. So I'm going to do the midpoints. Let's see, I got the midpoints minus the mean. Well, let's see. So equals, I'm going to click on that. What is it? 73.1 minus 73.1. And we'll let Google tell us to autofill it. So it did the differences. So it took 73.1 away from each of these. And now we're going to square each of those. That's just what the formula said to do, right? So we're going to take that and square it. And then what happens is there's one of these 1489s, right? But aren't there 3 44.5s? So we get to multiply this times 3 also, because there's a total of what? How many in this distribution? I mean, I could go look at the book, but we get the spreadsheet right here. There's 42 individuals in this distribution. So we know we're going to divide by n-1, so 42 minus 1 is 41. So we get to count. Right now I'm only seeing what, 8 numbers or 7 numbers, so we get to account for all those 42 values. So what we'll do is we'll take this and we're going to multiply that by the frequency, and that'll tell me how many of those 1489s there are, and et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, then we'll find the sum of that. So that's the sum of all the x minus x bars squared. And then to finish it off, we'll divide that by 42, because the sum of the frequencies is 42. So we'll divide by 41, because it's 40 n-1. And then that's the variance. Then we'll take the square root. Okay, now in this practice test question about emails, one of the questions was find the standard deviation, which, and this person did a wonderful job of trying it, and they were almost there. The part, because they hadn't seen this before, it didn't make them do this before, make you do this before, we have to multiply. Remember how I multiplied by the frequencies? Well, the frequencies in a probability distribution are the probabilities. So what we're going to do is going to take each year. Let me get this transferred over here to a spreadsheet so I can manipulate it, and then I'll show you what do we do with the 42. There's no 42 in this one, so how do we deal with that? So now we're at the point up here where I found the difference, the midpoint minus the mean, and then I squared each of them. So now what we're at this point is we've got the x value, the random variable minus the mean squared, but now we give it account for the frequency like we did up here. Well, the frequency is the probability. So I'm going to multiply each of those values. So probability by that x minus mean squared. And then we'll find the sum of those. So that's the sum. So this number here corresponds to this number here. Okay, but now remember how I divided by n minus 1? So what's n? What does this add up to? And remember the way I found 42 is I added up the frequencies. Well, I'm going to add up those probabilities. So something, this is part of the test. So what is the sum, in order to be a probability distribution, what are the sum of all the probabilities have to be? This probability of all the event. And I hope you said 1. And where you're thinking 1, let's make sure. I didn't check, so it better be 1. It is 1. So what's this divided by 1? Well, if we do n minus 1, that doesn't make sense, right? So that's 0. We can't divide by 0. So what you do with a probability distribution, you don't have to divide by anything. It's already taken care of because of the probability. So that's the variance right there. And if we want to do the standard deviation, so the sum is the variance. And if we want to do the standard deviation, just take the square root of that. So equals square root. Whoops, that number. And so that's the standard deviation. Close to what the person got, but you know, it's not quite. It didn't account for the probabilities, and then that's fine. Don't feel bad if you're the person who did this and you're watching this. Don't feel bad. You did a wonderful job. Isn't something I probably should have tweaked that question, but. All right, so that's that. So keep that in mind, keep it in your hat. I'm not going to test you on it, but it's there.